I'm here with Alex Kruger-Dobrata. Welcome to the Worth the Fight podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. How have psychedelics informed your path?
Well, the psychedelics, I really felt it was always recreational. I wanted to see everybody, you hear stories and stuff like that of crazy hallucinations. One of my buddies was on DMT, and he said he lived the life of a gorilla from birth till death. And then obviously the whole experience took 5 minutes, but in his mind, he had the whole life. So that is obviously a profound experience that I want to partake in. But for me, it really wasn't until I did 4 hits of acid that I really kind of realized that there is a spirit world. I wasn't able to tap into it, but I think with acid, it was a different kind of experience, and obviously different psychedelics give you different experiences and feelings. But with this one, it opened my eyes to seeing everything around me, and then that there is something there. I felt like I could understand connections between things easier. That same time, I heard some sound. It was like an ice cream truck. I'm outside seeing how the wind's connected to the grass and all this stuff. And I'm feeling amazing, and that I could just understand everything. And so I heard this sound, ice cream truck, and it was in South Miami across the street from UM. And I look over and it's a brown van with some knives on it. And I'm like, well, that is like evil. You know, there's some bad energy coming from that. And the person that I was with, she's like, oh, that's just the neighborhood knife sharpener. And I'm like, neighborhood knife sharpener? What the hell is that? You know, and then she realized how crazy that sounds and that I'm tripping on acid, you know? So then she's like, oh yeah, that's kind of screwed up. And so then, it was interesting, those little experiences that on that trip that really opened my eyes to the spirit world. Cause I'm not very religious. And I got my degree in physics, and I really try to understand how everything works. I play the devil's advocate. And I really want to know and have some kind of understanding of how things are versus just some theoretical, idea. And
Powerful.
Yeah. And so then that was kind of just awakening for me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your share. There's a couple things that come to mind. LSD is in phase 3 clinical trials with our federal government, and is for generalized anxiety disorder. So it's poised to be the gold standard potentially for anxiety. When you had that experience, it sounds like it was a very profound experience that opened you up to other realms, maybe even the spirit realm. I know that on the LSD journeys that I've had in the past, extraordinarily profound and 100% opened me up to, whoa, there's something more beyond our this kind of waking state reality, beta reality that we're in right now. Which can be really, really profound. Did you find that there was a afterglow from that experience, or was there any positive effects from like a mental health standpoint that you noticed, like just feeling lighter?
So that one, I felt that that was a very powerful one. I did, obviously LSD before, but not that impactful as far as an experience that I took away from the trip. And so with that one time, I felt like I could control myself more while I was experiencing, the LSD, and I was going through waves, felt like I was going to go down to some dark spiral, but then I pulled myself out and then had this really great experience. From that, there's a couple. There was one, I remember just going outside and understanding the connection between things. And so then that opened my mind to really understanding the truth behind how all this is, around us, and that we're all connected. Then also going into the bathroom, I saw myself in the mirror.
Yeah, they say don't ever do that. Don't ever look at yourself in the mirror when you're on a high dose journey.
Yeah. So I saw myself at 40. I was 24 at the time, and there was just different hairstyles and scenery flying past me. And I just had a vision into the future of my future self, that I could do, whatever. I had all these different opportunities available to me. And then to me, it meant that I had like a fulfilling life with all these different experiences. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wasn't a person where I woke up and I was like, I want to be X, since I was a kid. And so that's also kind of what made me want to try a lot of different things. That's why I like, business, because as an entrepreneur, you're not tied to one thing if you don't want. Really, if you've come up with a model of how things work or identifying problems in the market, then you can come up with a solution. But then also, once you know that business model, it's easy to transition to other industries. So for me, it was great to see my future self and all these different personalities and personas in different areas, all like flashing before my eyes. Another experience on that same trip was an out-of-body experience where I was laying there and I feel like my consciousness left my body. I'm looking at myself and another person, and from her eyes registering like with shock that into my eyes that are down on the couch, she had some like worried look on her face. And so then to me, that meant that she saw from my physical body that something left my body. So that made me think in my conscious, extra, what's the term? Out of body, conscious self is thinking, oh shit, something actually happened. Like my consciousness is actually outside my body. So then I got worried if I linger in that state.
Sense her fear and trepidation.
Right. And so then I was worried in that state, am I going to not be able to get back into my body? And is it going to be a soulless, body? And so then I went back in. Unfortunately, I'd never had that out of body experience again. But that always stuck with me. So I think the biggest thing out of that was understanding how a lot of things are connected and that there is some type of spirit realm. And that was profound for me. From there, I just was more keen to doing acid if I wanted to understand something more. In university, I had a college, English paper, and we had to write a research paper on a poem. And the poem that I had was, that I chose was Questions of Travel. It's a 1-page poem, and it's pretty complex with each line as far as like the vernacular and describing what the author was trying to portray. And so I was like, all right, let me take some acid and try to understand this better. So I took two hits, and that 1-page poem took me 6 hours to read. And it's because I felt like each line that I read, I understood exactly what the author intended.
You probably feel it.
Yeah, felt it, visualized it, understood it. And I ended up getting an A on that paper, and, LSD for the win.
Yeah, yes. Wow. There's a couple things that come to mind when you had said possibility, that brings up a conversation. We had the bassist of Portugal the Man, the rock band, on the podcast. They came out of the psychedelic closet a few years back. It was pretty amazing, interviewing a Grammy Award winner.
Wow.
And he was talking about how, possibility, like when he was feeling stuck, and then you've got possibilities like that opens up your imagination. It gives you hope. That your stuckness is illusory, and that there's just so many opportunities. Also, the way that you were describing the future self is really, really powerful. The idea of like holding it in your mind's eye, our future self, before we start to achieve it. Like everything that we do in life is there. First, there's a vision of it. And then before there's the action of moving towards it. It's kind of this notion that seeing is believing. So in this elevated state, which is for anybody that hasn't had a LSD journey or psilocybin journey or ayahuasca journey, yeah, it's a pretty far out experience. But to get out of our mind and to envision the path ahead can be really, really powerful when we take that out of the visionary world or the dream world or the psychedelic world, and we come back to our day to day, you still have that vision in your mind of possibility. And you're here many years later. It sounds as though I know that you have a lot going on. That might have been the catalyst for a lot of the projects that you have. You had that deep, profound experience, visionary experience, opening up, seeing all of this incredible possibility. I'm sure not all of it's come to fruition, because there's a lot of like crazy shit that we see too, but it's like following and putting in the work in the day to day towards building that version of yourself, building the I always say, like, this might be Alex 3.0 or 4.0, and our future self is the future Alex is going to be the Alex 5.0 or 6.0, continually peeling back layers, doing the inner work, showing up in the day to day, etc.
Yeah, I feel like when you're on it, then you have a good overall sense of self. You also have a kind of mental break from whatever's you're thinking about in your day-to-day life, if there is something that you kind of spiral out of control that you can't control. And so then having this is kind of like a little battery reset, but then it also makes you feel good. So then you're able to pursue certain realms of thought that maybe either you've been thinking about, or the other good thing is because there's hallucinations, then it might open your mind to some other ways of thinking, or a visual path to continue, to expand your mind, or to inspire creativity. And so, yeah, I had a great time. I always have a great time on it.
Powerful. And so you've had experiences with LSD. I think you'd mentioned ayahuasca and DMT, or the 5-MeO. Okay, 5-MeO.
Yep.
How are those experiences?
So the ayahuasca, it was with my best friend from the Marines.
Okay.
I haven't seen him in 6 years. Okay. And basically, we always tried these different things together, and then shared our experiences. Obviously, my base was in Joshua Tree National Park, so It was very conducive to the environment.
I'd say so. Yeah.
We like rock climbing and all that. So anyways, first time seeing him in 6 years after we get out of the Marines, boot camp through Afghanistan with him. And just so happens, my buddy, it was July 4th. And I meet up with my buddy from jiu-jitsu, and I introduced him to my best friend, Dalton. And so he's like, I'm like, what are you doing for July 4th? We just met up, so we're going to probably hit the beach. Oh, I'm about to do ayahuasca with my shaman, and combo, which is the frog poison, and then DMT, 5-MeO DMT. And so I know he's the type of person. This guy is a friend of mine. He's very introspective. He went through some trauma and was seeking, alternative methods through ayahuasca, combo, 5-MeO, to try to deal with that, I guess, mental block that he just needed to move on from. Yeah. And so this person's not a veteran, but fellow jiu-jitsu brother, so brother in combat. Anyways, I said, hey, is there any way that we could, join in? I asked Dalton. He said he's all about it. He would love to do that. He definitely was going through a lot. So it just so happens, he's got a very nice condo, 3-bedroom, 3-bath at Tet Museum, I think. And so we each had our own bathroom for the purging. And it was great. Like, we had a nice experiences in a controlled setting. The shaman, he flew him in from, I think it was Central America. And this was his second or third time with this shaman, with a private setting. And with the ayahuasca, I didn't really I felt like it was a more meditative state, and then a journey as far as being in control of yourself. I didn't really have a profound experience like other people mentioned in having. And so we started late too. This was like in the afternoon, went through the whole evening. of purging. And so then now it's
did you have an experience where it was getting in there and you've had to purge?
Oh yeah, the whole night we're puking
okay,
and shitting and freaking all that.
So it was doing its working its magic. You know, it's part of the experience. It's a purgative. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, whoa, that's a wait, what? We're puking and shitting, you know?
Well, that's why it was nice because we each had our own bathroom.
Yeah.
And it was a nice like condo.
Yeah.
So
very nice setting. Yeah.
Yeah, good setting. The shaman was great. Was always helping us along with with everything. I forget what he blows into your eye or whatever.
Sananga in the eye or rape up the nose.
Both. Yeah. So we did both of that. And that's supposed to enhance, I guess, the experience. But it's just nicotine, right?
Nicotine like and then botanicals from the jungle, from the Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for me, I kept on. It was more meditative. I wanted something to happen. I kind of am the type of person that I don't do a lot of research before some type of substance.
Carpe diem.
Yeah. And so I wanted it to affect me naturally without any preconceived notions. And so obviously I heard about ayahuasca and all this stuff, but so I was purged, I was puking, shitting, the whole night, 7 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever. I think it was like 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours. And so now I'm exhausted. And I feel like, so then we do the frog poison, the combo. So then that's another, shitting thing. But it was 30 minutes. And so I was just mentally, I was like, all right, let's just get through it. It's going to make your body feel hot and the toxins release from, the core. And so that I felt like that was good because then it cleansed my body.
Probably felt amazing afterwards.
Well, I'm tired at this point. So we started like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon after a night of ayahuasca, puking and shitting. Then I'm exhausted. Then we do the frog poison, the combo. And so then my body temperature is heated. Then, I'm just like trying to survive. So it's kind of a shock to the system.
Yeah, it's intense.
And so then I want to go home. I'm like, all right, thank you for the experience. It was
go home, get some rest.
So it's like 7 a.m. Shaman comes with a little pipe, with a 5-MeO. And at first I take a hit, nothing happens. So I'm like, okay, I definitely just want to go home. So then he comes again. I'm just like, all of a sudden, my whole vision turns into like geometric polygons. Everything turns geometrical and it closes into a portal. And so then it goes, and I'm like, oh shit, it's fucking happening. Like, I don't know if I can take this. And so then it goes through like a portal. And then all of a sudden, I felt like the need to puke. So I puke in the bucket and then I just go into the portal. And it's like concentric rings blasting past my vision. And then I black out. So I black out, I come back and I'm just like sitting there and I'm imbued. I got my awareness again. And everybody around the room is just sitting there looking at me like they knew something happened because obviously I was like, I don't know, I was blacked out. But they said I was like that for 3 minutes and I felt like I had limitless energy and I could do anything I wanted.
It's called the God molecule.
Yeah. So, so I always thought it was called the God molecule because you meet the gods.
Yeah, you have a deep spiritual experience. Divine experience. Yeah.
So from that,
limitless power would be divine too.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. So I like that. So now I'm sitting there. Keep in mind, I did 12 hours of puking and shitting. No sleep. I was worn down. Yeah. Now I'm like the Energizer Bunny. You know what I mean? I could do whatever. And I felt with my mental state, like whatever I pursued, I could be the best at. And at the time I had a fight event company. We had a big event coming up. And so it was like, all right, we're going to kill it on this next event. And so that was profound for me. That was the most profound experience for me. I felt like it was maybe from the ordeal, but it was too much to handle visually or whatever. And so that's why my body maybe, had my mental state black out from the actual spirit world experience, wherever I got transported to through the portal. But now if there is something that I want to do again, and I open my awareness to it and I'm used to it, I feel like I would, recognize and actually witness the spirit world or whatever I got transported to see. And so I think that's definitely something I'm looking forward to in the future. 5-MeO DMT in particular, that was definitely the most profound experience. And then the 4 hits of acid was like my entry to the spirit kind of world.
Wow.
Type thing.
Wow, profound. I appreciate you sharing. Like we talked about, the kind of open sharing. We're in a time of prohibition where it's taboo to talk about this. There's a lot of people that are uncomfortable sharing because of potential fear of prosecution, whatever it might be. And while we're in this mental health crisis, veteran suicide epidemic, I think your open sharing just invites safety and invites possibility for those that might be struggling with mental health. To have a frame around ayahuasca and what it was, and yeah, it can be a harrowing journey. I've talked about it in depth on my personal journey. I've had the ritual many, many, many times, and to know that there's companies that are doing or organizations that are doing really, really good work in the veteran space, like the Heroic Hearts Project. I've had Jesse Gold, former Army Ranger, who's running the Heroic Hearts Project, and Juliana Mercer. She's a part of Healing Breakthrough, that is part of the Heroic Hearts Project as well. Juliana Mercer is a Marine sister of yours. She served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and Jesse, served the same. So they're again doing incredible work for the veteran community. So if there's any veterans that are out here watching this, there'll be links in the description of the podcast where you can find resources that might be helpful to explore, utilizing psychedelics for therapeutic use. They do retreats with, the veteran retreats in, they're doing them in Oregon right now with psilocybin, because Oregon has legalized psilocybin, and also I believe sending veterans down to Peru for the ayahuasca retreats as well. So I just wanted to have a little side note there, as these experiences can seem far out. They are far out, and this is a completely different way of healing versus the pill a day model that is not working right now. We have these deep experiences. We're out of our mind. We can see ourselves objectively. The neuroplasticity that we get from psychedelics is really what I believe is why these medicines are feared by what I affectionately call bullshit incorporated, because neuroplasticity is our brain and our nervous system's ability to change to internal and external conditions. So we can change, we can utilize that. We can have the eye-opening epiphany, and then we can do something about it. And the system, BS Inc., doesn't want us to change. They want us to be stuck taking their pills, the endless prescriptions of pills. But it's not working. And we have 22 to 40 veterans that are dying by their own hand every single day. And these medicines can help. So thank you for sharing and inviting that possibility.
Yeah. And at the VFW, I'm happy to start doing the podcast with you here. This Wednesday, we have Warrior Wednesday, which is a weekly check-in night, battle buddy check-in, just so that you can meet up, check in on each other. And also the way we structure it is to improve oneself through classes or period instruction, but also networking, so that you always have somebody. And I'm very honored that you'll be this week's featured speaker.
Yes. Thank you.
And so looking forward to that. Going back to just the mental health aspect with the whole psychedelic, with whatever you choose, from my experience, if you really have some type of trauma that it's hard to wrestle with, that you keep on thinking about, that you think about every single day, it's a flashback or recurring experience that you just can't let go for whatever reason, using psychedelics can maybe allow you to think a different way about that experience and understand it, and then come to terms with it. And so that's where I really see the benefits from using the various, methods and substances is that you can really try to understand and break down that trauma. And then from there, you can also just utilize that for other things in life. So thank you for having me, and looking forward to what's in store.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your work. I appreciate what you're doing here at the VFW, and your servant's heart to want to have a space for community. I love the initiative of Warrior Wednesday, which you do every week from 6 to 8. Battle buddy check-in, an opportunity. It's very conscious. You're having speakers. Again, thank you for inviting me to speak in 2 days. And so I again think that this initiative of having outside speakers, community engagement, accountability, an opportunity to learn from different ideas, to an opportunity to study different aspects, and then again the accountability aspect is really, really important to have that. So I'm really again proud of the work that you're doing, and it's deeply meaningful for the community, for the veterans, and also for everybody.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Any other initiatives that you'd like to share? I know you got a lot going on. I saw that you had an AI company. You got the Gamify. Any other service initiatives or anything else you want to dive into?
Yeah. So what you just talked about, having the sense of tribe. I mean, I think it's pretty understood. When you leave the military, it's your close-knit group. You have your unit. You have your mission that you need to accomplish. So that's your purpose. And when you don't have that, when you get out, then you're spread across the country, across the globe. So you don't have your unit anymore. You're by yourself. You need to find a new group, your new network, wherever you are, if you don't have one already. And you need to find some purpose in life again. And that's why the GI Bill or going to school, to me, is kind of like a buffer period when you transition, because it basically gives you 4 years to figure that out for the rest of your life. Also, it's a close-knit community itself, college. So then you can develop friends and whatever. And so that's why the Student Resource Center over there was always meaningful to me, because my only friends getting out were other military people. I wasn't going up to dudes and be like, hey, you want to be my friend? So it was all girls that I was friends with, basically, or other military people. And so starting after about 4 years, I started a fight event company. And then I got really into jiu-jitsu, and I noticed it was great. I looked forward to each day. So there's some joy aspects. Like it was like my daily battery reset, because it takes your full attention, and it's so physically engaging. You're sweating like crazy, that you need to be in the present, or else the guy's gonna like choke you out, right? And so then the thing is, and then there's social. Obviously, takes 2 people to train jiu-jitsu, but then that's another kind of network of people that I became friends with, military, and then the jiu-jitsu, MMA, that type of stuff. So there's joy, and then there's social, connection. So that covers, 2 things that you're missing from the military. The third thing I didn't realize until I started competing in jiu-jitsu. Once I started competing and lose it, like when I'd lose, my first competition, I lost in the first, minute and a half armbar. It was embarrassing. And then, so the thing is, that gave me fuel to train harder and what to train for the next one. So obviously I never want to get armbarred again. So, I just immediately looked up everything, how I don't get armbarred. And then the next obstacle was endurance. So if you're in a heavy division with multiple matches, there's a lot of, you maybe do like six matches in a single day, you get exhausted. So then what did I have to do? I have to train more frequently so that my cardio was better. And then also, when you're training that hard, you don't want to fuel your body with crap, with junk. You want to fuel it with the best available resources so that you can improve yourself. You don't want to just maintain, you want to improve. And that was always the mindset of the other competitors at my gym. It was a very competition heavy gym, and everybody's trying to progress, because you want to be the best in the world. And so you're not going to do that if you're going to drink or smoke or whatever that hinders your training the next day, especially when those other people are all trying to be the best in the world too. So then you can really see the difference between you drinking the night before and then those other people that are just, trying
They
to
went
be
to
the
sleep
best.
at 8:30
Yeah,
and they got 8 hours of sleep. And...
right. Ate their acai. But ate good food and all that. And so that really gave me an understanding of three pillars that to me leads to a happy life. And you can apply it to anything. If you're depressed for this or depressed for that, or just or kind of lost in a situation, you don't have to be a military veteran, doesn't have to be jujitsu, but really it's joy, social connection, and purpose. And it's also attributed to a mindset, a game-oriented mindset that I noticed throughout my life. Whatever activity the best people did at what they were doing, they viewed it as a game because it was fun. So having fun while you're doing something and progressing is like the magic sauce, because then you'll do it over and over again. If you play a video game, Elden Ring, you die to the boss for 50 times, that gamer is going to die 50 times. If it was something that you don't like doing, you're not going to die 50 times and want to do the thing over and over 50 times. It's because it's fun. Now you're slowly progressing each time until you actually defeat that boss. If you can attribute that to anything that you want to apply your mind to, that's the magic sauce. And so I created a social platform. I call it like a social engagement platform because it's like an immersive, interactive social platform to help you live your life with that game-oriented mindset, with joy, social connection, and purpose. And so it's an app where it's like an open world video game where there's a map and you see missions or activities or side quests that you can do. It can be anything. I made it very simple so that it could be a push-up contest. It could be a hot dog eating contest. It could be a fitness, whatever. It could be an art, competition and a community service activity. And you can structure it either a challenge or an event, a ranked competition or a battle where, there's like a tournament style. And so the whole point of it is so that you can find things to do out in the real world, go out in the real world, connect with other like-minded people in that experience, that shared experience. And then there's a sense of progress. You get points, there's leaderboards. You want to collect, things to boost your profile. So then it becomes your life kind of friendly competitive profile where you can connect with other people. And it's automated all within one thing. That platform is called Badger Operation Gamify, badgerops.com. And there's a whole membership aspect to it. So you can charge for it if you want to actually make money or a fundraise or do whatever. And then you can keep track of participants as well. So it's a great way to engage a community, to engage a group of people that are focused on a certain thing, if it's fitness or if it's community service or if it's the city of Miami Beach, to highlight landmarks or get tourists to go out and visit certain locations. It's just a fun way to do that, and it's immersive. And it's a way to keep track of participation. But ultimately, it's so that people can live with joy, social connection, and purpose in a gamified way, all on one platform.
That's powerful. Powerful. Yeah, the joy, social connection, purpose, that brings up integration to me, and the supreme importance to integrate. Integrate, it means wholeness, and to have a map, have a framework for people to operate within that will give them and help them satiate their human connection and to be connected. Coming back from service time, maybe looking for tribe, looking for a community, and having something like that to plug into is definitely a service. The Gamify brings up one of the most important books that I read years ago. There was a book called The Master Game. I think the author was Robert DeRope, and it was about gamifying life. And that was something that was really profound. Robert Derope was an enlightened chemist in the 1960s that was, writing kind of far out beyond his time, and illuminating the path ahead. And I know that was really striking for me on my path when I was coming back from, having these profound ayahuasca experiences in Costa Rica. And I was like, what the hell was that? And how do I integrate that? And to have this gamified approach. We all love playing games. And when we think about things in that manner, it can be really profound, and maybe as a way to outwit our negative inner shit talker and self-sabotage and a lot of the dubiousness and the worry that we all have, the fear that we have.
Yeah. And another thing about games, it depends on the game, but having a more grounded, I guess, present experience or notion of gamifying or gamifying an experience. There's a book called Super Better. It's written by a psychologist, a youth psychologist who studied how games affect children. She got in some bad accident, got amnesia, was doing what the doctors were telling her for recovery. And after 6 months, there wasn't really much recovery. And she's like, you know what? I'm a PhD, I'm a psychologist. I can figure this out. And so she gamified progress to little milestones. And one of the things that, and so then that's what the book's all about, Super Better, where you apply this game-oriented mindset and use games that take your full attention and then deal with whatever problems you face that block that. And then you can become a better version of yourself from some trauma. So that's why it's Super Better. Anyways, one of the things that she said that always stuck with me is that your mind is like a spotlight of attention. And if there's some addiction or PTSD, a thought that keeps on getting into your brain and you can't escape that thought, a trick that she found was you play some game where it takes your full attention, and it should be easy enough that you should learn. It should be a new game. You should learn the rules. It should be easy enough that you could pick it up really quick. And then the whole game should be 2 minutes long or a couple minutes, not too long. And then also easy enough that you win so that you have a sense of willpower boost. But it needs to be immersive so that your whole brain is focused on that game to win. Having that little experience of being immersed in that game gives your brain a little reset.
A little dopamine hit too. Yeah.
And then having the win gives you a dopamine hit, but then also a sense of accomplishment, like that you can do something. So it's a willpower boost. So if you have that intrusive thought from, an addiction, like, oh, I need you have a craving, or you have like a cyclical thought from PTSD, play that little game for 2 minutes and then come back and think about that previous craving or, cyclical thought, and then see that you can have more power in addressing and dealing with that thought. And usually you'll be able to just shun it aside. When you get those cravings or those intrusive thoughts, then you feel kind of helpless sometimes. And then it's just all you can think about. Having this little experience that just diverts your total attention, you get a willpower boost, you get the dopamine hit, then you can come back to that thought and you'll have more a refreshed mind.
Maybe a little bit more objectivity, almost like we've put the problem over here, fully immersed over here. And then when we come back, we might have some aha, even like duh moments of like, oh, that's what it is. Right. Of course. Yeah, exactly. Of course I need to do that to help out.
Less emotional. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Love that. Yeah, I think
that's another thing.
I think some of those benefits can also be accrued by journaling. And when we're bravely putting pen to paper, we can start to look at things from a different angle. And I know that that's a big part of my message.
I like that too.
The journaling is a powerful integration tool that helps us when we have the psychedelic experience, when we're microdosing or macrodosing. I always say that the best way that I can describe microdosing is 3 to 5% more empathy, 3 to 5% more courage, 3 to 5% more self-awareness. So we're feeling like a little hyper reality, but we're also very much anchored to this reality. It's not like the high dose experience that you were describing, because we're microdosing and we're going to work, we're hanging out with friends and family, we're walking the dog, we're going to the gym, etc. We're just doing so slightly elevated. But with that elevated boost, we want to take time to journal our thoughts, maybe take inventory of what's coming up, what's emerging. Maybe there's hard truths. Maybe there's a conversation on our heart. Maybe there's a reach out to an old buddy or a sister or an old family member, or maybe there's a sorry that we have to kind of mend a past hurt. And just again, inviting that possibility as another kind of integration strategy for anybody that might be listening. I do, the journaling was so profound for me on my journey that I just kept on writing. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I was like, oh shit, I got all these journals. And then I ended up writing a 308-page psychedelic integration book. Awesome. And it was just like, oh man, it just keeps coming out. And so that can be a profound tool, along with meditation, along with breath work, along with exercise. I love the way that you were describing jujitsu as a craft, to the accountability. You don't want to get your ass kicked, so it's a craft you're working on. You're doing so in community. The fitness, the desire to want to be better, holds you accountable with your diet, nutrition, and sleep. So having a strong purpose, that is one of my whys for like the work that I'm doing. I used to be a big drinker and I used to eat horrible food, but that's not aligned with being an empowerment coach. And it just isn't. I can't show up with with low energy for my clients. I just can't. So I don't drink anymore, hardly. I might have a glass of wine here and there, but it's not like I used to. In Chicago, in my 20s, it was 30 to 40 drinks per week, and in my early 30s, it was 20 to 30. We were getting after it. Maybe times have shifted and changed a little bit here. We're not drinking as much alcohol, but I just wanted to add those little snippets around integration as, and again, the jujitsu, the way that you described that is really, really profound. I think when we find something that will hold us accountable, something that has community, something that is conscious, is healthy, something that is a craft that will never finish jujitsu. There's always another step. There's always something that we can work towards. Same practice would be like a meditation practice or a breathing practice. You never are like, hey, I'm done. It's like, no, it's a lifelong pursuit. We want to keep doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Well, I so appreciate you sharing your experience, sharing your journey. I appreciate the work you're doing here at the VFW. Look forward to the Warrior Wednesday in 2 days here, and future Warrior Wednesdays as well, as this I think is a really strong community initiative. We're going to put links in the description below, and any parting words for anyone in the Miami Beach or even beyond that might be struggling, maybe a former service person that might be struggling with mental health that might need a boost of encouragement?
First of all, thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to what we're going to be working on in the future here at the Miami Beach VFW. I would say the biggest thing for anybody transitioning or just anybody in general, just a lot of times people don't want to make that first step to changing their life in a certain way. And so I always said before, just the first step is get on the mats. And you could attribute that to anything. Get on the mats. If you want to quit smoking, just, for me, cold turkey, just get it done and start. If it's business, another thing that helped my transition and journey is business, because it's a constant pursuit to, add to the business. Nothing's going to grow unless you put effort into it. If you have an idea, don't just sit on it. Take action and go and do it. And so that's what I mean by get on the mat, take that first step, is take action and go do it. You'll learn a lot by doing the action, by pursuing that, because there's going to be a whole slew of other obstacles and problems that you never even thought of or dreamed of until you start. If it's just an idea, you can circle and stew on that idea for the rest of your life. Nothing's going to happen. You need to go out and take action, do that first step.
Love that. Start before you're ready. I think we learn 100 times or 1,000 times faster when we're in the state of action like you're describing. So
right.
That's a really strong way to finish our conversation. Thank you again, Alex.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.